Taylor Dahl and Mia O'Brien.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Driven by Tire Outlet.
Brought to you by Underwood Jewelers.
And First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
Well, y'all, last week I said I miss Victory Tuesday. This week, all I have to say is I don't remember what Victory Tuesday feels like.
It's only been 3 weeks, Lauren.
But 3 very long weeks, Mia. You know, you come in on Mondays, you see social media, you see the text line. It is a challenge to try and keep everyone rational right now. When you lose 3 in a row, you lose 2 to backup quarterbacks, and the way you lost Sunday night, my goodness, it is not going well in Duval right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up, some of our friends out there on social media and the text line that certainly act like the sky is falling. And then you have Doug Peterson at the mic yesterday meeting with reporters, 24-hour rule, and saying that we need to find the good. And finding the good is the only way that you can coach up players mired in this 3-game losing streak right now.
We can do that. We can find the good. Rayshawn Jenkins played well.
Trayvon Walker. Hey, JJ got the impact player of the game. Right. No question about
JJ Walker. Trayvon Walker, also known as JJ Walker, played well.
And they even acknowledged that on the broadcast. They were like, Trayvon's been getting better throughout the season. He's doing what the Jags expected him to do. Maybe it was at a little slower pace than people wanted him to, but knowing you were signing a guy that is not a full-on pass rusher, but able to make impact in other areas. And they went on about it for a minute on Trayvon Walker, so that was good to hear, I'm sure, for a lot of Jags fans.
Yes, and also Jamal Agnew. He played really well. I thought his return would make a significant impact. I didn't realize last week when we were picking impact players whether or not he'd be back yet. They opened the 21 window later. But that's about all the positive. I guess Logan Cook punted well. So 2 out of the 3 special teams players played well.
Ross played.
Sure, Ross played with the back injury. But, I mean, it's really sad that on offense we can't come up with a whole lot because the Jaguars only scored 7 points.
Yeah, and when that happens and when you have the opportunity to have many more points than that and several times during the game, it starts to get frustrating. And I feel like I mention this every week. It's just not the offense you thought you were going to see, and I was hoping that each week when I said that, the next week it would happen. But there's just been a lot of bad mistakes all season long. They were able to overcome them in several games early in the season that they could have possibly lost, but we were like, it's fine because they're winning, and now they're not because those mistakes are hurting them like they honestly should hurt some teams, and they got away with some stuff earlier. So I see the frustration for a lot of people. You're just waiting for that offense to feel like, okay, you have your quarterback of the future and you do have weapons, and then now what's happening is it almost feels like you're going backwards because you also lost someone like Christian Kirk, and that's super unfortunate at this point.
Here's some good for you, Lauren.
Okay, good.
Among the 9 rookie offensive tackles with at least 100 pass snaps.
You're right. He is a positive.
Anton Harrison, number 1 in pass pro. Number 1 in pass pro in true passing sets, no RPO screens, any of that. Number 2 in wins above replacement. Number 1 in blown block percentage. Not blown, like not that he blew it, but that he pushed the guy all the way back in pass pro.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Anton Harrison, the rookie right tackle, he's not going to get a lot of love right now because overall, as an offensive line, they're not able to, whether it's create holes in the run game or protect Trevor long enough, or, all that stuff gets mixed in. And so no one focuses on any of the positive of the line. Yeah. They focus on all the negative, which is not Anton's fault. That's the interior of the line. And look, let's be honest, they missed. They missed on parts of the offensive line. And as much as we've talked ad nauseum about how they missed on the pass rush at times, the defense has been okay. For the majority of the season, the defense has either been above average or excellent. They have 25 takeaways. They are tied with San Francisco with the most takeaways in the entire league. Number 1, tied for first. But they have 24 giveaways. And that's the massive problem, is you are not able to win football games when you're giving the ball away.
Yeah, and when you're not able to get 6 points off of those takeaways, it hurts too, and we've seen that a lot. It's great if your defense can take the ball away. Bears defense is right behind them with that, and they can't score. So once you get that, you have to take advantage of those moments when your defense is constantly getting you the ball back. You've got to score, and the Jags can't do that right now, so it doesn't really matter what the defense is doing until they figure it out.
Yeah, so I have a cousin who's a diehard Jags fan who lives in Colorado, and every single game I get, if the Jaguars are losing, I get a slew of negative texts. Like if I could just read them, but there's usually some cuss words in there, so I can't read them on air. But lately, her focus has been on Brandon McManus.
Oh, boy.
She wants to cut him. And I try and talk her down, and then he misses the first kick.
Yeah.
And then I try and talk her down, and then he misses the second kick. And I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe, not saying we should cut him, but maybe there should be a little competition at this point in time in the season because things are not going according to plan. And I was a big, big Brandon McManus fan once he became a Jag.
Look, I mean, the first one, there obviously is the question of roughing the passer. It also
Roughing the kicker, yeah.
Roughing the kicker, sorry.
Yeah.
Roughing the kicker. And obviously, it goes off the upright. It's a windy night. It happens.
Mhm.
The other one, look at it this way. It was a 55-yard attempt. Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker who has ever lived, arguably. I don't actually think there's an argument. And John Harbaugh said, in that wind, going in that direction, yeah, we're going to pass on that. The Jags opted to try Brandon McManus, which, hey, scare money don't make money, so I appreciate it. But
Now you're mixing two bad football
yeah,
teams
I know,
that I
right?
follow.
Exactly. But obviously it didn't pay off, and he hooks it, even though it probably had the distance. So, yeah, it stinks that he's missed, 4 of the last 7 or 4 of the last 6 or something like that. I think some of it is circumstantial, but obviously it's something that needs to be cleaned up. What I was going to bring up, did you see this promotion that the Ravens have in conjunction with McDonald's?
I have not seen that.
I don't know who came up with this idea / what the odds of it actually hitting were. But this was tweeted by the Ravens on Sunday night. With those 2 missed field goals in the first half, you get a free 10-piece of McNuggets tomorrow. Stop by any Baltimore area McDonald's location for your free nuggets with a minimum $1 purchase.
So McDonald's is capitalizing on McManus's
No,
lack of
I
success.
think
Just their field goals.
They just had it. If the opposition misses 2 field goals, you get a free piece of 10-piece McNuggets, which is ironic because, yes, his name is Brandon McManus.
Okay, that's where I thought they were going.
No,
but-
I think how could they have planned for that?
yeah.
That would be
That's
insane.
true. Taylor, did you see what Brandon McManus, and I'm not picking on him, but did you see what he was wearing
I did not.
ahead of the game? So D-Rock, ESPN's Mike DiRocco, comes up to me in the press box, and I have, and Taylor, I know you've seen it, Mia, you saw me in the press box wearing it. I have this it's like a jacket / sweatshirt, I don't know what you call it, but it's very fuzzy. I really look like my dog, honestly, when I
brown?
wear it. It's like a tan color,
Yeah.
yes. And I have a golden doodle, and he's super furry. That's why I look like my dog, for people who don't know. So it's like extremely furry, and then I'm wearing black pants and shoes, whatever. D-Rock's like, McManus is was dressed exactly like you for today's game. And so I pull up the picture, and his is gray, but it literally, we looked like twins.
That is funny.
And I was like, oh, maybe that'll bring him some good luck, No, unfortunately
Maybe
not.
you should have kicked because you made some with Scobie. That one.
Yeah, like one. Kicking is a lot harder, and I played
know,
soccer
I
for
know.
years. Kicking is a lot harder than I ever thought because the trajectory of the ball when you're kicking a field goal is so
Yeah.
incredibly different than you're taught kicking a soccer ball. All right, I guess we have to get to the elephant in the room, so to speak, and that would be, considering we just talked about the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, will he not play? Mia O'Brien, take it away.
Yes.
The personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah present this injury update. Farah and Farah,
Jacksonville.
exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The liner shocked me there. Ooh, nicely done,
JJ was ready for it.
JJ
He knew what was
at
coming.
the ready. So let's obviously begin with Trevor Lawrence still in the concussion protocol. He self-reported the concussion. Doug Peterson believed he suffered it on one of the 3 scrambles on the Jaguars' final drive in the 4th quarter. I know that there's plenty of Twitter doctors out there speculating, did he suffer it earlier? Did they just not catch it? There obviously is an independent neurologist up in the booth, so they are obviously paying attention to players for potential symptoms of a concussion. Trevor self-reported. Because of that, he didn't speak to reporters, so I'm not sure when and if we will ever get the full story on that front. But obviously, he has to pass through certain barriers of the concussion protocol before he can actually be cleared to play. To those of you who say, oh my goodness, he's not going to be ready for Sunday, there are several examples this season of players that were able to have the independent neurologist clear them in time. That included Amari Cooper against the Jaguars, of course, as well as Brock Purdy, who suffered a concussion and was able to play the following Sunday. So not out of the question that he will obviously, that he would be able to play on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some other injuries, Zay Jones suffered a hamstring injury, is officially considered day-to-day. Obviously, he had not one but two knee injuries earlier this season, and so that will be a situation worth monitoring. Doug Peterson called it not good looking and quite bad when they at least saw it on the field, and so hopefully we'll have a further update on Zay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Walker Little with the hamstring, Ezra Cleveland with the knee. Both did give it a go on Sunday. Andre Sisco with the groin injury. Tyson Campbell with the quad did not. We'll be curious to see the status of those two players. Brenton Strange was questionable for the game with a foot injury that he suffered prior to the Monday Night Football game against the Bengals. The Jaguars are 0-3 without Brenton Strange, by the way. So
that is true.
That's a storyline worth monitoring.
We thought it was Christian Kirk. We thought it was Trey Herndon. Maybe it's Brenton Strange. Because Blake Hance has to keep reporting as eligible.
Right.
Maybe that throws them all off.
Because otherwise they're trotting Josh Peterson out there. And you saw in 13 personnel when they hit, when Trevor hits Luke Farrell up the seam for that 30-yard gain. I do think there is something to having multiple tight ends, and maybe only carrying three has kind of come back to haunt the Jags a little bit. And so that'll obviously be a situation worth monitoring.
Is Tebow available?
I know, oh boy. Yeah, he's somewhere here in town. He's running a new soccer program, so potentially. We discussed Jamal Agnew activated off the reserve injured list. We'll be curious to see if the rookie Christian Braswell, who has been practicing, will also be activated off that injured list. But those are the injuries for now. Oh, that's all far, outside of Ross Matisic with a back injury that he didn't practice Friday, but he seemed to be okay on Sunday.
I was worried about him because he had suffered the back injury earlier in the season and did miss a couple. I think it was just preseason.
The end of last year.
Earlier this year.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he had a back injury, and I think he missed a couple preseason games.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of pain tolerance for his back. So, no, that was his shoulder.
Oh,
That
shoulder.
was his shoulder.
Yeah,
That was
because he
the
made a
collision.
tackle in the preseason. That's what it was.
The back was last year.
Okay,
as well.
that's what I remember.
So, but aside from Trevor and Zay, no significant injuries. Knock on wood.
It did feel like the Ravens were dropping like flies. Pun intended. I guess they're birds,
and they
not
fly.
flies.
Yeah.
But but it felt like to a certain point, I was like, okay. Unlike against the Bengals, the Jaguars are having at least a little bit healthier of a game. And then Zay, and it's right in front. He was right in front of that sideline, is right in front of where Mia and I are. And he, as soon as that ball was overthrown, were you downstairs at that point in time?
No,
or were you
it
still
was right
upstairs?
before.
Okay. So, because Mia leaves to go downstairs to the locker room before the end of the game. And he came up limping. And I was like, oh no, it's right.
That's all, folks.
Yeah. So I wonder, hopefully he can give it a go soon. I certainly doubt he's going to be available for this Sunday, just based off of, like you said, the way Doug Peterson answered the question. And Doug, I feel like every coach is a little bit different when it comes to injuries. And Doug, I feel like, is an optimist. Like last week on Friday, he was like, yeah, we'll see about Trey and Tyson. And he probably thought they weren't going to give it a go, but he was optimistic.
Yeah.
Like, well, just maybe. And some coaches are the opposite. But either way. We shall see tomorrow once the practice report comes out if Trevor Lawrence is out there and who else is out there with him.
There was one point during the game too, during the broadcast, where they popped up and they were like, Trevor Lawrence has never missed a game for injury in college or the pros, and then they threw up a graphic. I was like, don't.
I know.
Why?
He's been dealing with a lot
I know.
already. Like, that's the problem. But yeah, I'm with you. Don't jinx him.
No.
Just like McManus, I feel like everyone was like, oh, he's made 18 in a row. And then, yeah. All right, we will keep it on the Jaguars. Coming up next, you're listening to Helmets and Heels, driven by Tire Outlet on Tintin XL and 92.5 FM.
There's great effort out there.
Fires deep downfield, wide open, Jamal Agnew, touchdown!
We're going to stay aggressive.
Close to the middle field, ball picked off. Rayshawn Jenkins running it back.
Number one prized possession on the field is the football.
Gets it to the 20-yard line. The ball came out, the ball was fumbled.
We got to do a better job of protecting it.
I got faith in the team. We've been here before. We know how to get ourselves out of situations.
Next up, Tampa Bay.
We keep spirits turn around, keep fighting. That's what we do.
Jaguars Buccaneers. Sunday at 4 on 1010XL. Home of the Jaguars.
Now at Hodges Mazda, the 2024 Mazda CX-5 promises every moment will be elevated and every detail harmonious. Lauren Brooks here. During the Season of Inspiration sales event, purchase a new 2024 Mazda CX-5 with 0% APR for 60 months plus no payments for 90 days. Yes, I said 90 days. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first. And every vehicle purchase comes with 2 years free maintenance, which I have loved. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com to discover the Hodges Mazda difference. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expires January 2nd, 2024.
Come to Monahan Jewelers' 46th annual holiday sale now with up to 30% off on GIA certified diamonds and up to 40% off our entire store. Certified diamonds, gemstones, engagement rings, diamond studs, designer brands. We're not a big box store. We're your local family jeweler with an amazing hand-picked inventory for every budget. And with interest-free financing, enjoy beautiful jewelry with a low monthly payment. Support your local family jeweler this Christmas with up to 40% off our entire inventory. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Open 7 days a week in December.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner with honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
It's a fact. Cold weather kills car batteries. Make sure your battery is strong enough to withstand another winter. Have it tested for free at Batteries Plus. Need a replacement? We have plenty of options available from the industry's top brands. Plus free battery installation in most vehicle makes and models. Or upgrade to Premier installation for added protection. You'll also find jump starters, windshield wiper blades, and other winter auto essentials at your nearest location. Or online at batteriesplus.com.
The All-Pro Roofing phone line protects you from boring radio.
Hello? What are you doing here? I don't know.
Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
The calls have been pouring in.
On 1010XL.
Welcome to Otterson Wealth Advisors of Raymond James, your local resource for financial know-how. The entire team is a symphony of knowledge, working harmoniously to orchestrate your financial dreams into reality. Experience the Otterson Wealth Advisors Advantage, where our expertise, empathy, and precision converge to craft a roadmap to your financial triumph. Visit OttersonAdvisors.com and let us turn your aspirations into achievements. Otterson Wealth Advisors, your goals, our expertise. Raymond James Associates, Inc., member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars. The next time you're at Fresh Spot Lounge, make sure you tell the bartender you like it slightly salty with Brackish Vodka.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy Subs and Sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gates store anywhere around Duval and make yours a dandy. And do it today.
Mia here, and I love a good spa day. Don't you? The Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa is the perfect place for indulging in a pampering spa treatment. This holiday season, those who want to give the gift of wellness can purchase a gift card and take advantage of the spa's current promotion. Purchase a $75 gift card or more, and guests will receive a voucher towards a future service. With healing massages, revitalizing facial treatments, and more, a day at the Sawgrass Spa makes the perfect gift. Purchase in person at Sawgrass Spa during operating hours.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida, and don't let the state decide your fate.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I had one of those aha moments last week. During my Awaken 180 weekly weigh-in, I only lost 2.5 pounds. My coach, Krista, reviewed my week and pointed out that I had skipped a few meals. Turns out, skipping meals was actually slowing down my weight loss, not speeding it up. Who would have thought? And get this, she also advised eating more fats. Yep, the good stuff like butter and oil to get me back to losing 4 to 5 pounds per week. Now here I am, closing in on 30 pounds lost with Awaken 180 weight loss. It's these kinds of insights you just don't get when you're flying solo. That's the beauty of Awaken 180. The coaches aren't just cheerleaders. They're like your personal weight loss strategists, making sure you stay the course and reach your goals. It's not just about shedding pounds. It's about learning the how so you can keep it off for life. Get your consultation on the calendar this month and get ready to start the new year with a proven plan. Reserve it online at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Helmets and Heels.
On 1010XL, driven by Tire Outlet.
Brought to you by Underwood Jewelers.
And First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, JJ LaSelva. I am Lauren Brooks. We are Helmets and Heels with you until 8 o'clock. This is the part of the show JJ has been waiting for days.
Yeah.
Because we are going to review our impact players against the Ravens, and I think his impact player hit for maybe the first time all season, at least on defense. We will start with our offensive players. Mia chose Evan Ingram. How would you evaluate that?
I mean,
choice?
He didn't get a catch or a target. He wasn't targeted, until about 10 minutes with 10 minutes to go in the second quarter, which is a bit of a concern because he's probably your best skill player, best receiving player without Christian Kirk out there and with Zay Jones essentially running on one leg. Finished with 4 catches for 28 yards on 6 targets. I think you need to get him the ball more, especially with that, multiple tight end set that we mentioned with Luke Farrell. Can that open things up if you're going to bring Blake Hansen and make him eligible? So you bring that extra offensive lineman, and I think you need to find ways to get Evan Ingram the ball to move the chains because so often we saw like 3rd and short, and once again the Jags are opting to go for broke as opposed to, hey, just get the yardage to move the chains and live to see another down.
The 3rd and short or the 4th and short, whatever it ends up being, is so frustrating. I mean, you see teams get that easily, and I don't just mean the Eagles, but teams get it easily because they can run the football, and they can run the football between the tackles, or they're creative and they can get the ball out quickly. And either way, that's been, I would say, if you were to ask me one thing that's been the biggest disappointment this season, I would probably say the short yardage situation.
Oh, yeah.
All right. JJ had Calvin Ridley. How would you evaluate Calvin?
He had a touchdown, I guess, that could have been, but that really didn't matter, honestly.
JJ referred to it on prime time yesterday. He goes, did he have his 5 catches for 50 yards?
Yeah.
And I go, 5 for 39 yards.
Yeah, I think, certainly you could put Calvin Ridley in that conversation of what's been the biggest disappointment, but...
Oh, he's in there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's going to figure it out this season. Every week we all keep hoping, right? Like, okay, maybe this is the game. And after last week a week ago now, they had Trevor and Calvin kind of had that, situation on the field against the Browns. Like you thought, okay, maybe now they're finally going to figure things out, but still not yet. Yeah. And it's certainly, he's a disappointment if you thought the yardage that he said in training camp was going to be accurate. Yeah, 1,400. I think some people were more realistic because he hadn't played in 2 years, and those are the people who would probably say Calvin's been a fine addition, but there have been issues. I went with Parker Washington. He had 4 catches for 12 yards and caught the ball. As much as people want to blame Trevor for that pass right before halftime, and I understand, but also why is there a route that's short of the end zone in a situation like that when you're running out of time?
Well, especially when Doug Peterson then tried to defend it yesterday and said it was the same setup as the Marvin Jones touchdown to go ahead, to tie the game against the Ravens last year.
And he was even like, you kind of got to get out of bounds there. I'm like, wow, are we really blaming the rookie wide receiver for not getting it out of bounds?
Yeah.
He shouldn't have even
It shouldn't have been the route that he's running. Right.
Well, he also, even if that was the play called, if they had clocked it, he at least would have had time to set his feet, get his bearings, and be like, okay, this is the play.
Yeah, you almost wanted Parker Washington, like you saw, who was it? Was it Cooper Kupp for the Rams during a special teams play, the onside kick, that he just batted the ball out of bounds?
Yeah.
Like you almost wanted Parker Washington to just bat the ball out of bounds in that situation. But yeah, situational football was not good in addition to lots of other things on Sunday night against the Ravens. And then, Taylor, your opposing player on offense was Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I will say, of all players I've seen in person in college to now several years in the NFL, I think he's grown the most.
Yeah. And I honestly don't even think Lamar played his best game, to be honest with you.
He didn't need to.
Yeah, but when you let someone a quarterback rush almost 100 yards on you, he's doing something right. But there was definitely, especially the first quarter, there were moments where I was like, okay, there's a chance here because Lamar, he would run, but there wasn't much beyond that, and then you kind of saw it pick up. But yeah, I think when you're looking at a whole of what Lamar Jackson's done from the start of his career to now, especially with all of the talk that had happened every single year with him not being a quarterback, being a running back, I'm putting that in air quotes.
Yep.
He definitely, you're seeing more and more from Lamar, and he's hard. It's hard to face somebody who can do both of what he's able to do.
And this is a whole different conversation, but that's what obviously Bears fans are hoping for Justin Fields is to evolve into a player like Lamar. I will say there was one time that I clocked him for 5.5 seconds once he started to evade pressure. He had at least that time. There were other times I'm sure he had even more time. It was insane. And again, the pass rush wasn't terrible, but that's just what he does.
And there was one, they were clocking it on one of the plays, I think in the either late first or early second quarter, where the TV had the counter, and it was almost 12 seconds that he had the ball. That he was just running back and forth, ran up, came back, then ended up, I can't remember what ended up coming out of the play. I think
it was like an 8-yard pickup.
Yeah, it was something
he
like
ran
that.
all the way to one side and then ran all the way back.
Yeah. Where I was like,
good. I saw Jalen Hurts make a similar play last night, by the way, and then he only ran for, I think, like a yard or two.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have the flu, though.
Yes.
Versus Lamar was fairly healthy. Well, actually, did he?
He had the flu like a week and a half
Yeah,
ago.
that's what I thought. So he's fully through it.
We've all had it.
Yeah. On defense, I went with Foye Oluokun. He had 8 tackles, 1 quarterback hit. Look, I think Foye every single game plays as hard as he can, as smart as he can. There's just not a whole lot you can do, like we just talked about, when the quarterback is going to be able to do that. And you also have to worry about the run game, which the Ravens were able to establish the run and feel so bad for Keaton Mitchell. What was interesting, Taylor, is watching it live, seeing Dewey hit him. I didn't think anything of it. Then he went down, and I was like, I wonder what that is. And then we all turned our attention to the television, which in the press box, it's about 20 seconds delayed from game action. And then literally there was an audible gasp in the press box from every single person who watched that play because you knew, he's done for the season. It was unfortunate. But, so I went with Foye. Mia, you went with Dewey Wingard.
Yeah, well, he made that play.
He did.
Obviously. And
he had a ton of tackles.
He also earned an Oscar nomination, which was fantastic.
Because he started the skirmish, if you will.
Right, exactly. And the flop of all flops. I was
that hair flowing.
I was surprised, given the 3 safety look, and Antonio Johnson was on the field a good bit as well. I was surprised that the Jags and Rayshawn Jenkins had a sack off a blitz, which obviously is freed up by having more guys in the secondary. I was surprised that they weren't able to contain the run quite as well as they did in this matchup 1 year ago. I think part of that is that Lamar Jackson has evolved as a thrower.
Yeah.
And while yes, he only threw for 171 yards. I just think he's so much more of a threat to throw, and this Ravens team can do other things. They actually have receivers. They have a speedy back in Mitchell, which they didn't have previously. And
they have Zay Flowers, who basically had 1 target all game, which was crazy.
Yeah. One catch for 7 yards on two targets, which that's a massive win for that secondary for the Jags. And maybe it was circumstantial, maybe it was great coverage. And so, so the kudos to Dewey in the secondary, because at the very least, they did shut down that passing attack. I was just surprised with that 3 safety look. They weren't able to stop the run quite as much as they probably expected to.
Well,
and without the Dewey penalty dive.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
The Jags wouldn't have had enough time on the clock to make that blunder that we've been talking about all week.
That's
that's just content. Point. Thank you, Dewey.
That's right. We needed to be able to break down the end of half that I feel like high school teams can do better.
Because they scored on the next play, but the clock wasn't running, so the Jags still had opportunity. We would have never gotten that Parker Washington play.
Yeah, I will say that I think Lamar, when you look at his numbers passing-wise against the Jaguars, it's a little skewed because he didn't need to throw to win, right? Like, that game it wasn't in hand until the 4th quarter, but had he needed, I feel like, to, make the 3rd and 10 type of passing situations, I think he would have been able to do that. He just wasn't forced into that later in the game because it got away from the Jaguars. All right, JJ, the moment you've been waiting for. Trayvon Walker, how did he play?
He got a sack. I want to thank Josh Allen. He kind of pushed the pile a little bit, but it was a great sack. And anytime you can get Lamar Jackson on the ground is good. I thought he looked good.
I agree.
I think he's at 6 sacks now on the season. A half sack back of Aiden Hutchinson. We won't talk about the Giants defensive end who was also drafted that year, but pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly an improvement, and with 3 to play, he could add to that. I wonder who you'll pick for your defensive impact player.
We got to stay on brand.
All right, and Taylor, you picked Roquan Smith, who some people think ended up when Trevor tried to scramble at the very end that he ended up giving Trevor concussion. I don't know about that.
Yeah, and Roquan, I mean, he's a powerful human being, and that's one of the things. Like, you didn't see anything I think crazy out of this game because he does have games where he's constantly in the quarterback's face, and that wasn't one of these. But he's just, you kind of feel like you see him a lot in the games in different moments. He's one of those guys that's able to find the ball and where the ball's at. But I would say, he played good. He played not awesome, but good.
Yeah, but obviously,
hopefully he did not give a concussion to.
Yeah, I don't know that he needed to play that great because again, the Jaguars offense only scored 1 touchdown. All right, we are going to pick impact players now coming up for Sunday's game, Christmas Eve at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mia, kick things off with your offensive player.
Yes, I'm going to go a bit rogue on this one.
Oh, I like it.
I don't know if he will make a positive impact, but I think he may be one of the most important guys on the field on Sunday, and that is Luke Fortner because he's got to match up with Vita Vea, and good luck with that one, buddy boy. So if he can step up, I know Jaguar fans would be oh so happy.
Very happy. I will go with Jamal Agnew because I think not just special teams, but now that the Jaguars, I assume, will be down Zay Jones, I think Agnew is a key piece to this offense, and hopefully he can have the defense bust another coverage and be that wide open again against the Bucs. Either way, I just think he's a crucial, even if it is a touchdown return, a return for a touchdown, I think he's a crucial player in Sunday's game against the Buccaneers. JJ.
CJ Beathard. I hope they don't need you, but I'm getting a bad feeling that they might.
Ooh,
just
okay.
be ready. Be ready, Siege.
CJB.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
That's what they call him out in the Midwest.
Okay. I feel like him dressing up as Trevor Lawrence for Halloween, it may end up coming to fruition.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and his wife dressed as Marissa, Trevor's wife, or his fiance, whatever. Doesn't matter. All right, Taylor, I'll come back to you at the end.
Okay.
And then I will go, Mia, who's your defensive player?
My defensive player will be Rayshawn Jenkins.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Because I think he'll be critical in the run defense like he was this past week because I think he'll crowd the box. But I do think that the Bucs, for as much as many people want to label them as getting old quickly, they do still have plenty of weapons, and I think they have a couple of young ascending tight ends, and we know how much the Jaguars have struggled in covering tight ends. And so between that and Mike Evans, who's basically a tight end light, I think that he will be called upon quite a bit.
Yeah, Mike Evans certainly scares me, which is why I'm going to go with Darius Williams because I don't know if Tyson Campbell will be available, but Darius Williams has played certainly very well most of the season. I think he's going to have his hands full between Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and again, we'll see if Tyson Campbell is able to play. JJ, you got Trayvon Walker.
I do.
All right, and Taylor, your opposing offensive and defensive players for the Bucs.
So offensive, I will say Mike Evans. He has over 1,000 yards already. He averages 16.3 yards a reception. Which is the only guys better than that right now are Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, and Nico Collins. And so he's right up there at the top, and Nico's one of the ones that we talked about a lot earlier in the season when it comes to those Texans matchup. But he has 11 touchdowns, second most for receivers, just behind Tyreek Hill. So he's definitely the guy that Baker's most comfortable with, and that shows very obviously. So that's going to be a big one this week, especially now because Godwin's kind of been missing all season, and the last couple games you've seen Godwin kind of start getting a little bit more connection with Baker Mayfield, which opens up more opportunities for Mike Evans possibly.
And defense?
And defense, I will say Winfield. Safety, obviously, 107 tackles, but he also has 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 11 passes defended, 2 interceptions, and 5 forced fumbles. So he's another one of those guys that just constantly knows where the ball is, and it's such an important thing when it comes to those safeties because that's why he's able to get to the quarterback sometimes. He's really good at getting the ball out of guys' hands, and Jaguars clearly have a fumbling problem. So definitely somebody to keep an eye on.
All right. I agree. And I heard you in the handoff say that you might have to stop picking opposing players.
So if this doesn't work this weekend, I might have to switch it again.
Yeah. And for the last couple, we will change it up. Yeah. We are not afraid to change it up around here. All right. When we come back, we will go around the NFL. You are listening to Helmets and Heels, driven by Tire Outlet on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
If you were given a chance to pick this week's games, could you pick them?
Of course.
It's 1010XL's weekly pick 'em contest. You could win a barbecue feast from ABBQ at 1010XL.com.
You pick 'em.
Brought to you by MyBookie.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at jaguars.com/shadows. One winner a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase to enter or win, must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia. Promotion period 9/5/23 through 12/15/23. For official rules and complete details, visit jaguars.com/shadows. Sponsored by Jacksonville Jaguars, LLC.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is the sports medicine leader in Northeast Florida. We're proud to be the official sports medicine provider for your hometown teams, including the Jaguars, Sharks, Axemen, Armada, and the Jumbo Shrimp. We have the most cutting-edge resources for sports medicine care, including Active Armor casting, Alter-G anti-gravity treadmills, and highly trained physicians and athletic trainers. JOI is truly where the pros go, and so should you.
Now the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
The Teal and Black were looking for a bright spot offensively under the bright lights at the bank, and a special return from a special star was just what the doctor ordered for Jacksonville. In the third quarter, Trevor Lawrence would find Jamal Agnew for a 65-yard touchdown, making the score 10-7 with 7:15 left in the period. The Agnew score is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Hey everyone, Jason Parker, CEO of Performance Painting here. 'Tis the season for giving gifts, and this year our gift to you is waiving the power washing fee when prepping to paint your commercial building or home exterior. That's a $500 to $3,000 savings back in your pocket depending on the square footage. And no matter who you hire, make sure they power wash using the proper methods, which includes being careful around your expensive windows. Learn more at performancepaintingjacks.com or call today at 849-2499.
Performance Painting!
Are you ready for the ultimate happy hour experience? Look no further than Bellwether, downtown's undisputed champion of good times. It's Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 7 p, with the exception on Friday when happy hour starts at 11 a.m. Rally the team and head over to Bellwether. The vibe is full and the food is unbeatable. Free parking after 6 p on weekdays and all weekend. Bellwether Restaurant, where great food and the best happy hour in town come together for an epic win.
I'm just happy to have a roof over my head. You've heard that saying a bunch probably through the years, but what if it leaks? That's never good. Who do you call? How can you be sure they're any good? Who to trust? Well, remember this. Preferred Roofing guarantees to educate and inform their customers on such a big decision as replacing a roof. Let their consultants help you make an informed choice that you're sure to feel good about. Master Elite Certified Contractors, Preferred Roofing is who you need to call. Tell them Joe C. sent you.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 23rd.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll-and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years, you can count on Catlin.
If you have a slow-draining sink or toilet that sounds like it's about to back up, imagine the potential plumbing emergency when you have family over for the holidays. Flush after flush after flush. Avoid holiday clogs with a call to Duck Duck Rooter today. Duck Duck Rooter will come and resolve those plumbing issues so you can enjoy a free-flowing holiday season. Call 904-862-6769. Visit duckduckrooter.com.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels, driven by Tire Outlet.
Brought to you by Underwood Jewelers.
And First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
'Tis the holiday season, so you know what? Let's go ahead and take care of some people. We are giving away a pair of tickets to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. That means Clemson, Tyler Shatley, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne going up against Josh Allen in Kentucky. So Clemson versus Kentucky at Everbank Stadium. That comes up Friday, December 29th. Kickoff is at noon. If you want to be the lucky winner for the pair of tickets, be call number 4 at 641-1010. Call number 4, 641-1010. That is a great prize.
Definitely.
To give away this holiday season. By the way, December 29th is my mom's birthday. If Florida had made a bowl game, again, big if, I think had Florida gotten to 6 wins, I think Florida would have been in the Gator Bowl.
Yeah.
Even though most teams probably need more like 7 wins, 8 wins, but I think Florida would have been in the Gator Bowl.
Which would have been ideal for
Which would
being
have been
in this city.
Absolutely. And had Florida gone, I would have made sure to get my mom tickets, and that's how we would have celebrated her birthday. But as it is, Clemson versus Kentucky is not going to do it for my mom.
Yeah, I kind of joked about it when it was first announced, because I was like, at least Trevor won't get booed this year, because last year it was Notre Dame, South Carolina. When Trevor got put up on the video boards, all of the South Carolina fans were booing so loud that I was like, dang, I was like, that's kind of rude.
That is
But I get
rude,
it. They're the
but-
college football fans. They do not like Trevor Lawrence. So
Yeah, but I'm trying to think like who for Florida State or Georgia. Like if I was at the game and let's say they put up Stetson Bennett, I wouldn't have booed.
Yeah.
But I get it. South Carolina is always looking up to Clemson, and South Carolina was able to beat Clemson last year. So you know what? Fans get to do whatever they want to do. All right, Taylor, what do you have going on in the NFL?
So similar to what I did last week, because I think that looking forward at number one, maybe some of the matchups that the Jags have with Tampa Bay this weekend, but also the division, because the division is a lot closer than probably most people thought it was going to be
For sure.
this time of year.
It's giving a lot of people panic.
Yeah, a little bit of panic, especially the way even I think biggest surprise is the Colts. I think that a lot of people were just like, there's no way. And then when Anthony Richardson went down, people were kind of like, what is even going to happen now? And they've figured it out. And Gardner Minshew's been playing actually pretty well, which is a little extra like push for the Colts. But I just wanted to look at maybe some of the things that it's from CBS Sports that they said they learned about certain teams from this last weekend. So I'm going to start with Tampa Bay, because that's the game coming up. And all of these last 3 games are very important for the Jags. It's just going to be that. Because you need to win. So Tampa Bay, I actually mentioned Chris Godwin. So Chris Godwin finally got going this last game. Granted, Packers secondary was very beat up. It was without Jair Alexander and Darnell Savage both out. So it was probably a little easier to pick them apart. But still, he was able to have a big game and catapult the Bucs offense. Godwin finished with 10 catches for 155 yards in the win, notching his first 100-yard game of the season. Godwin had more receiving yards on Sunday than he did over the past 4 games combined. He still has 68 catches for 814 yards, though. So it's not like he's had a terrible season. It's just not the season they usually get out of Godwin. But he's only had 1 touchdown, and that's what's kind of crazy. And so that when I kind of pointed out earlier that Mike be able to contain Mike Evans, but also Godwin is looking for those touchdowns. He's getting to that point now where he's like, all right, I figured it out. I can do it.
It's like Evan Ingram.
Yes.
But he now has 2.
Exactly. So that's something I guess we have to look for. Are you more concerned about Mike Evans just having another massive game, or would you be concerned that Chris Godwin continues his breakout and finishes his season on a higher note?
Well, I mean, Mike Evans is, statistically speaking, and given his age, Mike Evans is what scares me more, especially because he's such a physical receiver, and there are question marks regarding the physicality of this Jags team, I think, across the board right now, at least after the last 3 weeks. Plus, Chris Godwin's been so up and down when it comes to the injury front. So I would say Evans, but the other side of the coin is Baker Mayfield has been Jekyll and Hyde at times this season. He can have a perfect passer rating against the Green Bay Packers, but he also has stunk it up at times, too, and given the ball away and been known to do so. And so I think that that'll play a big factor regardless of which receiver is actually the leading receiver for Tampa.
Yeah.
So Mike Evans in every season has had over 1,000 yards. He's already at over 1,000 yards, right?
Yeah.
Like he is so incredibly solid and really talented.
So dependable.
Yeah. So he scares me. I mean, Godwin, like you said, had a big game last week, 10 catches for 155 yards. But Mike Evans, the guy that to me, almost every game he's going to have north of 50.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at even what Baker's able to do this season, it has been kind of a weird season for him, I feel like, because there have been ups and downs. But at the same time, he has 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. It's pretty good. I think a lot of people would choose that for their quarterbacks. Already 3,300 yards. He's completing almost 64% of his passes on the season. It does help when you have the weapons that Tampa does have, but you do have to give some credit to him because, like you said, he had perfect passer rating. It was the first quarterback ever at Lambeau to be able to do that. I immediately screenshot and send that to some people. But
I'm sure you were very happy with how the Bucs played, and then you're like, oh wait, dang, the Jaguars have to play them. By the way, the receiver conversation I think will be an interesting one this offseason for the Jaguars.
Oh yes,
not just because do you keep Calvin Ridley, hope he gets better, but not pay him nearly as much as what you thought, and you're certainly not going to tag him all that. But I just mean overall, like who else do they need to add to this group? Because the Jaguars don't have someone like we've seen a lot of these other teams have.
Yeah.
But continue.
Yeah, so next I'm going to move on to the Colts. Just mentioning they have surprised a lot of people, and Gardner Minshew is able to win some games right now and put up some pretty big numbers. But what they said stands out the most is that the backup running backs just keep going. And that's one thing that the Colts have been able to really rely on is their run game, which is helping not put so much pressure on their quarterbacks, I feel like. But obviously, Jonathan Taylor out with a finger injury. Zach Moss left the game with an arm injury. And then Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson kind of mixed it, and they're the number 3 and 4 running backs on the roster. They combined for 28 carries, 157 yards, averaged 5.6 yards a carry. Sermon also had 17 carries and 88 yards. Goodson finished with 11 carries, 69 yards. So they just said you have to give credit to the Colts offensive line and the head coach for keeping this offense going without Taylor and Moss, and the Colts averaging 5 yards a play. But in addition to that, Minshew went 18 for 28, 215, 3 touchdowns. How concerned are you about the Colts being right behind the Jags right now?
I'm concerned because they're in perfect harmony right now.
Yeah.
Like there is such synergy between the play caller, the quarterback, and the offensive operation. I think that is why you're seeing a team clicking, and you're seeing a team that said, hey, we don't have Anthony Richardson. A-okay. We will lean into the run game. We will utilize Gardner and the skill set that he does have. We're not going to ask him to do too much. We're going to dink and dunk you perhaps, but as we saw in that one drive, in the second half on Saturday night, they ran the ball 10 straight times.
Yeah.
They literally just ran it all the way down the field. At one point during Sunday night's game here in Jacksonville, I sit in the press box next to Gus and Dylan Denmark, Pockets, for those of you who listen to Jaguars Today, and Pockets literally goes, can the Jags just be like the Colts and just run it 10 times after the first 2 runs, gash them, gash the Ravens? And it looked pretty. Yeah. And you see the Philadelphia Eagles do it week in and week out. And so it can be done, and I think it speaks to, again, when the offensive play caller knows the personnel and says, how can I put you in the best position possible? And that's what you're seeing in Indianapolis.
They have a good offensive line. That's how you run the football. It's not just the good running back. It's the good offensive line. We saw that the Titans didn't have a good offensive line this year. It's what has hurt Derrick Henry, and it's why the Titans, I think, are out of the postseason already.
They are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I think they are.
It is pretty remarkable, though, Lauren, because this is the same exact offensive line from last year for Indianapolis. So what changed?
Yeah. Shane Steichen?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if you here, I'm going to pull up their Pro Football Reference right now. Like, if you look at this roster, I mean, people were talking about Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly being washed this time a year ago, and that like it was over, and like those guys were never going to do anything. And now here we are, and it's like, oh, well.
They had Matt Ryan as a quarterback, too, which doesn't help.
Yeah, there's also that.
Your quarterback being mobile really does help your offensive line, too.
And I think just looking at the game that the Jags just played shows that running the ball can work, because they had 42 carries but only 14 receptions in that game, and you run the ball. And I think some people get scared of that because they're like, then it becomes so predictable. But also, when you are on your 8th straight run, most defenses are probably like, okay, they have to pass at some point.
The Ravens, I thought, did a good job of that, too. I feel like we're smart. They were like, all right, Lamar, just hand it off at this point in time because we're able to get success and stay ahead of the chains.
Yeah. So I'm looking at, this is from opening day last year, which obviously things changed after that for the Colts. From opening day, I'm looking at their roster today versus their roster then. The left tackle back then was, the right tackle, was Braden Smith. The right tackle today is Braden Smith. The one guard was Will Fries. I only see one guard listed here, which must be a misprint. I see, obviously, Ryan Kelly as the center. Ryan Kelly, still the center. Quentin Nelson, the left guard, still the left guard. Bernhard Raymond, who was a draft pick last year out of Central Michigan, has taken over that left tackle spot. Back in the day, it was Matt Pryor. So that's really, from what I can see, from last year to this year, I mean, the one guard spot and then maybe the one tackle, but he was the backup before somebody else went down.
But the change of the guard, not the changing of the guard, but a change of the guard position can sometimes make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And maybe the center too. I mean, Ryan
the
Kelly's
center's
the
the
same,
same,
right?
yeah.
But here for the Jaguars, I've wondered, should Luke Fortner sit out for a little bit and have Tyler Shatley go in? Maybe he's, battling stuff. I have no idea, but they're not getting a good enough push in the interior. Maybe Sheriff should sit. We know Sheriff went out with an injury for a little bit during the game on Sunday night. Shatley came in. You've got to maybe mix something up. And again, the one position change might be what's helpful. By the way, this is what the Colts have to finish the season. They are at the Falcons, and the Falcons announced today that they're going to start Taylor Heineke at quarterback over Desmond Ridder. Then they've got the Raiders at home and then the Texans at home. So the Colts could lose all three. They could win all three. I have no idea.
Here we go. This is a better argument. Final game last year. The Colts beat the Texans, and the Texans won because then the Bears got the number 1 overall pick. From left to right, Bernhard Raymond was the starting left tackle in that finale. He is the starting left tackle currently. Quentin Nelson was the starting left guard. He is their starting left guard. Ryan Kelly, still the center. The right guard was Will Freeze, whatever it is. It is still Will Freeze, whatever it is. And Braden Smith, the right tackle.
So one thing, obviously,
that's insane to think that it's the same group, and yet now they are absolutely mauling people.
So one thing I will say, obviously, you can address coaching, but I think a lot of it is cohesiveness, and it takes some time for offensive lines to really start working and clicking together. So the more time you have together, the better you're going to play most times, especially if you do have talent there. And that could be a part of it. They now had a pretty much full season all working together and really kind of figuring out that bond, and now they're able to run the ball really well because of it. So I think those things all start to click, because what you do notice are teams that are really struggling with injuries on the offensive line and things are getting shaken up is when it really starts to affect their lines, just because they don't have that guy they're used to standing by the whole game.
Well, and we don't talk, I feel like, nearly enough about the fact that Cam Robinson has been out, and I do think he provides so much leadership, even if he's not the rah-rah guy, but he's tough and nasty, and this offensive line doesn't have that without him. And so we talk about Christian Kirk, certainly the absence of him, and that's massive. And we've talked about Tyson Campbell being out for a while, but with the hamstring. But I really think this offensive line misses Cam Robinson. And then everybody's in a little bit more of their place, with Walker Little at left guard or whoever it ends up being. But yeah, this offensive line, I forget the number, how many different combinations they've already had to use, but they've certainly had to shuffle stuff around. And Miasa had the injury report in the first segment. Ezra Cleveland, I watched him play after play. Came up limping almost, and was like limping around almost every. Never came out.
Ditto to
was
Walker
limping.
Little. Ditto to Walker Little.
Yeah,
they both were.
I mean, you could tell, and like I said, Sheriff already went out, came back in during that game. Like it has been obviously the biggest struggle this season.
Yeah, I will say one more before we hit break, and because it's the Jags. So let's
go.
What they took out of this last game is Trevor Lawrence fumbles are a major concern.
You think?
Lawrence had 2 costly fumbles in Sunday's loss to the Ravens. One was in the red zone and the other was deep in his own territory. Both mistakes gave the Ravens 10 points in the 23-7 win. Baltimore capitalized on the miscues to put points on the board. Lawrence has the second most fumbles among NFL quarterbacks since 2021 with 31. The recent turnovers for Lawrence could be some caused from his ankle sprain, some difficulties surrounding that, as he has 5 giveaways in the last 2 games, and he suffered that ankle sprain 2 games ago. Regardless, Lawrence has to take better care of the football. I think everyone has to agree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's a big reason why there's been so many comparisons to the 3-game losing streak the Philadelphia Eagles are on, because Jalen Hurts has 17 turnovers, Trevor has 18, and for Jalen Hurts, that's more than he had combined the previous 2 seasons. So I think, yes, last night you can write it off as a flu game. For Trevor, the last 2 weeks, you can write some of it off as, well, the ankle. Now, was he concussed? But it's still not good enough to get the job done.
Yeah, I would say that it's not all his fault. Certainly the one where he's trying, it's 3rd and 17, and he's trying to get as much as he can. Like, that is absolutely his fault. But there are other times that I think he is blindsided. And so that's more on the offensive line. And so ball security, I'm sure he would tell you that's something that he worked on this offseason. And it just, unfortunately, certainly Sunday night against the Ravens, you can't lose that ball, right? Like you can't switch arms and you got to know better than that. And really at that point in time, just go down, slide. But I think in my mind, he's still a very young player because I don't really put the Urban Meyer year as like a full real NFL year for him. So while he had playing time, don't get me wrong, I don't know that was as helpful to him as a lot of other, like CJ Stroud's rookie year, I think is doing far more for him than Trevor ever had with Urban. And so to me, he's more of like still a very young, more in his like second year, certainly his second year with Doug Peterson. By the way, do I remember this correctly or not? On the second fumble that Trevor had, did he hit the ground really hard? Do you remember? Because that's where I wonder.
There was like a swarm of
That's where I wonder if the concussion came from was that second fumble and not when he had the run later.
Some people
I
think
could be wrong.
I mean, there are some people who think it was the intentional grounding even earlier in the third quarter when his head went off the.
Maybe that's
turf.
what I. Okay, that's what I remember. Was on the right sideline. Yeah, or the right end zone. All right. Yeah.
My theory is that when Dewey got hit so hard, and when he hit the ground, it like shook the whole stadium and also hurt Trev.
That's a valid theory.
Yeah.
Secondhand concussion.
It was.
That's right. It was. I think it was
gross
intentional
violence
grounding.
would happen to Dewey on Sunday.
Right. It was. I will say it was really sad leaving the stadium Sunday night. Now, granted, by the time I left, the majority of Jaguars fans had already left. But like walking to the car, there's usually at least like some people like, it's okay, like we got this next week, whatever, and everyone's still positive. And like there was just this kind of silence, like this gloom over the parking lot in the stadium. And I was like, man.
So you knew he had a concussion by the time you were leaving?
No.
I was like waking up the next morning and reading it on ESPN. I'm like, damn.
So I got
didn't even
home.
realize.
I got home and I was watching Doug's press conference from my house, which is in Jacksonville Beach. So again, I have now walked all the way down 6 flights of stairs, gone to my car, driven home. There wasn't much traffic, like I said. So like 45 minutes, I get in bed and I'm watching the press conference, and that's when at the very end he said about Trevor.
Yes, quite literally. If not for a reporter asking with the final question of the night if it was a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Because some people were speculating that was why he was struggling. And he missed a couple of throws and bounced a couple. And Doug just kind of murmured, yeah, he's in the protocol.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
The shoulder protocol.
I guess he self-reported. So, I mean, good for him. And like we said, hopefully he'll be all right. And if not, then JJ's impact player of CJ Beathard better play well on Sunday.
I trust him.
I get it. I understand. He's been here a while. All right, our bell ringers brought to you by Bellwether are coming up next, so keep it right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Great tires are an important part of a good drive.
That's a great drive right there.
And Tire Outlet brings you the drive of the game.
We don't make mistakes and I'm going to stop us.
On 1010XL. Tire Outlet. Wholesale prices, premium service.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. If you've ever wondered why some jewelry stores and department stores always have a sale going at 50 to 75% off, there's a good reason. Because most of the time, they're not real sales. The prices are marked up so they can sell the piece at a big discount and still make the profit they need. If you wanted to find a realistic sales event, the store wouldn't run a year-round sale and the discounts would be a little more realistic. For example, Underwoods puts all of our diamond solitaire necklaces and ear studs on sale in December at 15% below the prices we sell at the rest of the year. So there's a genuine savings to the customer. We also take trade-ins, so it's the ideal time to buy for someone looking to grow their pendant or ear studs up to a larger size. Now at Underwoods, we don't run a lot of sales, but when we do, they're real and a good time to buy. So come see us at Underwoods, San Marco, Avondale, or the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Have you heard? Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet are attempting to sell 2,000 vehicles this December. How? I've instructed my team to take all reasonable offers. We won't lose your business over price. We have thousands of cars, trucks, and SUVs on the ground and priced to sell. We guarantee the most money for your trade and the easiest car buying experience ever. I promise we ain't leaving nothing on the table. At Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, we're here to wow you.
How much is your heart worth? To a narcissist, the answer is nothing, at least not compared to theirs. But to you and the attorneys at Florida Women's Law Group, your heart is worth everything. I'm Heather Quick, owner and attorney at Florida Women's Law Group. We'll do everything in our power to get you everything you deserve your divorce. Learn how we can help at FloridaWomen'sLawGroup.com or call us 904-204-2359. Divorce for women by women. Offices Jacksonville and St. John's.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sportsbook and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
At Ratify Credit Union, we know that a dream home is about more than location and square footage. It's about fulfilling the dream of homeownership and all the dreaming that takes place inside. Building a nursery, starting a business, throwing a graduation party. That's why at Ratify, we're more than just home lenders. We're the fulfiller of dreams. With home and home equity loans that prove dream homes do come true. Ratify Credit Union. Make waves. Ratify Credit Union is an equal housing lender insured by NCUA.
Football season means time on the couch and plenty of big games on the TV. Well, Florida Home AC knows you might be hitting the thermostat every time your team goes for the win. With family and friends hanging out for 4 quarters or more, the heating and AC unit will be working overtime. Stay cool with Florida Home AC. A simple phone call to 777-4300 and make sure your unit is primed for the fall when temps change constantly. Order a tune-up and enjoy the season. Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Introducing Fast Twitch, a new energy drink from Gatorade. Developed with 200 milligrams of caffeine to help athletes focus the mind and power the body for athletic performance. Great flavors like strawberry watermelon, glacier freeze, cool blue, and tropical mango, all designed to ignite athletic performance. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Fast Twitch, official partner of the NFL and used by the pros. On-the-go energy from Gatorade.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision and equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Stilettos and Sabermetrics.
Helmets and heels. Driven by Tire Outlet.
Brought to you by Underwood Jewelers.
And First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
Taylor Dalmio, Brian Jojo Selva, I am Lauren Brooks. We are Helmets and Heels with you until 8 o'clock. By the way, if I'm distracted over the next hour, it's because I'm watching the Florida men's basketball team take on Michigan in the Jumpman Invitational in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'll keep you updated as we go.
We got a nice double TV. We got two ranked teams in Virginia and Memphis, also on TV number 1 at Memphis too, which Memphis just knocked off previously unbeaten Clemson over the weekend.
Oh, so yeah, you'll be watching both TVs. I'll be watching just one. And of course, that's my alma mater playing Michigan, Michigan in the past has been so good in basketball, men's basketball, but right now, 6-5, not nearly as good as in previous years.
Yeah, I mean, you can attribute some of that to the absence of Juwan Howard, their head coach, who had open heart surgery earlier this fall. So Phil Martelli's been the head coach. It kind of felt like he was keeping the ship afloat. They did lose, obviously, a couple of key pieces because, obviously, Hunter Dickinson transfers to Kansas. That's a huge loss. to someone who was such a vital part of their offense and their defense over the last few years. They had Caleb Love in their grasp briefly before he then decided, just kidding, I'm actually going to transfer to Arizona. But in terms of their losses, they're kind of surprising. I mean, Long Beach State, you don't see that one coming. They lost to Memphis in the battle for Atlantis. They lost to Texas Tech, Oregon, Indiana. I mean, that's not necessarily, a murderer's row of sorts.
Very, very true. All right, time now for our bell ringers, brought to you by Bellwether, where timeless American fare takes a modern turn, located downtown on West Forsyth Street.
Drew Lock touchdown pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba gives Seahawks the lead.
Lock, end zone, it is caught! Touchdown, Seattle! Smith and Jigba. He drops down. Lock recognizes that he's got one-on-one, and it's just, there's nothing really to the route other than he's just running a flat go route. And Smith and Jigba, that's a great job of reeling it in.
Tremaine Edmonds pick 6 for a 45-yard score, his third interception in 4 games.
Flacco on first down, over the middle, and it's intercepted. Off the deflection, it's Tremaine Edmonds. Edmonds on the move. Flacco trying to make the stop. He can't do it, and Edmonds is in with a pick 6. He had his third interception of the year last week. His fourth puts 6 on the board and gives the Bears the lead.
Rob Dillingham leads Kentucky past North Carolina in the final minutes of the CBS Sports Classic.
Dillingham loves to go. Oh, reverse off the window.
How about that head and shoulder? Faked as though he's coming for the right hook.
Withers misses. Shepard another rebound in the outlet to Dillingham. And the finish on the other end.
The kid sees everything.
All right, I'm clearly not a Seahawks fan, but to me, the story of Drew Lock is, and the Seahawks in general, incredible. The fact that they were able to resuscitate Geno Smith's career has been awesome. And then you have Drew Lock, who didn't know he was playing until he got to the stadium last night against the Eagles. I understand the Eagles have lost a couple games, but it's still the team that went to the Super Bowl representing the NFC last season. Drew Lock steps in. It wasn't perfect, but my goodness, to throw that ball towards the end with like 28 seconds left to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Then his emotional press conference after, I thought was just fantastic. The whole thing, I loved it all. And so congrats to him.
Yeah, and credit to Miss Lisa Salters because the follow-up question was phenomenal. And that is journalism 101 right there. Recognizing and observing that there clearly was more and asking the follow-up question, even if the script doesn't call for it, even if they're saying, hey, you only have X amount of time left. No, clearly she knew something was there. And when you get that emotion out of a guy who, again, hadn't started a game in how many? I mean, I know obviously last week with Geno, but he hadn't led a game-winning drive. And I believe it was like 1,100 days or something like that since like 2017 or 2018.
I mean, he was written off completely by the Broncos. And so once that happens, I mean, we talk always about the ascending quarterbacks and we talk about the ones who haven't been playing as well, right? And could they be a franchise quarterback? We'll talk about Justin Fields, I'm sure, for months this offseason. We don't really ever talk about the guys that eventually become backups and never heard from again. Like we see the jokes on Twitter from a guy like Chase Daniel who made all this money and he's funny about it, things like that. But we never really talk about like the emotion and what goes through for someone who was thought to be potentially a franchise quarterback in the NFL to be basically left for dead. And then to have a moment like that, I can only imagine you get all this attention your whole life being a quarterback. And then one day you're no longer a person that anyone pays any attention to, yet you still work as hard. You still know the playbook as well as you should. And I really hope, by the way, that we're not having this conversation about the, CJ Beathard. I mean, I'm hoping he doesn't have to play, in other words. If we have to have the conversation about him playing super great, that's awesome too. But I felt for Drew Lock and everything he's been through last night.
It was funny you spoke on Chase Daniel because he tweeted, because we've seen a ton of backup quarterbacks this year, obviously.
I saw that.
He was like, dang, it was the wrong year to stop.
To retire, yeah. I thought that was really funny. And he has other funny tweets about that, like, being just realistic with the situation. Like, I made a lot of money in this league, but I wasn't a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
But it's just, in the end, like, I loved it for him, for his family, for, everybody who supported him along the way. Because that's hard too, right? Like, the wives of guys who never are going to play in the NFL, but they're on practice squads and they're supportive the whole time. Like, I just think there's a lot that goes on in the NFL that obviously we're only going to talk about the players that are going to be making tons of money and the wins and the losses and things like that. But there's so many other storylines. And I'm sure there's guys in the locker room that on the Jaguars roster even, no one ever talks to them. Like, they don't very often play. Like, let's take, for example, Shaq Quarterman, who I think most people would say has one play in his NFL career that they can think of off the top of their heads, obviously against the Titans in Nashville last year to knock the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands. That kind of started the really good end of the season for the Jaguars. Other than that, like, there's not a lot else to write home about necessarily. I'm sure he does great on special teams and all that, but like, that's an example of someone who was a star at Miami, as JJ certainly well knows. And now he's been a backup in the league.
Right, absolutely. And I'm sure he would tell you, and I know Daniel Thomas, speaking of special team stars for the Jags, got a ton of love.
He's somebody else I forgot to mention in the positives.
That it's okay to not be the star in the NFL if you can play special teams, if you can bring quality depth to a roster, if you could be a professional, know where you're supposed to be, you will play in the league for 10 or 12 years. And just because you were a star at the collegiate level, it doesn't always translate. And in reverse, you have guys like Max Crosby, who played at smaller schools, Aaron Donald, who was an afterthought at Pitt, and now you look at where they rank among the best in the league. And so it's not always just because it's tough, to your point, like mentally probably to wrap your head around it. But I think more and more you're seeing guys that say, hey, I just want to feed my family and I want to play ball. And so you find a way to stick into the league. And obviously Drew Lock, to his credit, said, you know what? I'll be the best backup I can be, and when my opportunity is called, I'll be ready. And ditto to Joe Flacco for what it's worth, because there have been plenty of other starters that once they were no longer a starting quarterback said, I'm out. See you later. But Joe Flacco said, you know what? I can adapt. I will be a backup, and I will therefore be playing for the Cleveland Browns at age 38 and potentially leading them to the playoffs.
That's the crazy part. Right now, the Jaguars as a 4 seed will be taking on the Cleveland Browns as the 5 seed, and they really scare me. All right, we've talked enough about mine. Taylor, you were in person at yours. We're going to get to your trip up to Cleveland in a second, but that moment had to feel really good.
So, funny story about this moment. I was in the bathroom. So the Bears got the ball. Nothing happened out of that offensive drive. And I was like, man, I didn't want to go at halftime. It was right after halftime, and I didn't want to go because obviously the lines and stuff are crazy at half. So I was like, I'll go right at the beginning of the third quarter that way. And where our seats were, it was almost perfect. Like, you literally like walk down the stairs right there, and it's behind. So it's not like I had to go too far. And I was like, I'll just go right at the start of the second. And so I was about to go, but then we got the ball to start the second half. So I was like, well, I'll just go after this offensive drive. And jetted right after. And I'm sitting in, obviously they have the play-by-play on in the bathroom. So I'm like sitting there, and I hear him go, Joe Flacco, deep down the middle. It's picked off. And I literally just started like screaming in the bathroom, and I'm like trying to get my pants up really fast. I was like, I gotta go. And like when I walked out, there was like one Bears fan, this girl sitting right outside the stall, and she was like, yes. And we like high-fived. And I'm like running up the stairs to try to get back to my friends up there.
That is awesome.
I missed it, but I also am so
Did you wash your hands?
I don't actually think I did because I was running out.
No
and then she
judgment
just high-fived a bunch of people.
Yeah, I was like, hey, guys. But I missed that, but I'm so superstitious. Also, I sat back down, and I was like,
I got to go back to the bathroom the rest of the game.
I was like, I might have to go sit in the bathroom because if something bad happens, like, I was like, if this starts going the opposite way, I can't sit here right now, because that was like the most exciting thing that had happened so far that game, other than Justin's touchdown like very early in the game to Kmet. And after that, it was just like a long list of nothing. But then things kept picking up. Tyreek Stevenson got another pick, and it was looking good. Obviously, I'm sure everyone's seen by now how the game ended, so it wasn't good towards the end. But I was like, man, I missed the pick. And I was like, I missed a pick 6. And even my friends, when I came back, they're like, go back down there. And I was like, believe me, I want to, but I'm not sitting in the bathroom the whole time. I paid for these tickets.
Right, exactly. I can only imagine like a security guard being anywhere near the bathroom and then hearing the screaming, being like,
he's like, is everything okay?
We need help to the ladies' restroom and section, whatever. And Mia, your college basketball that featured Brad Nessler.
Yeah, I had to give old Foye Lewican, friend of the program and listener, and of course diehard Kentucky fan, some love because he told me back in September that Rob Dillingham would be the best of the freshmen, as John Calipari leaned back into, I'm just going to go get McDonald's All-Americans who are one and dones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with the transfer portal outside of a couple acquisitions here and there. And a lot of people wanted to pump up DJ Wagner, which was obviously a big recruiting win for Kentucky because his grandfather was on the Louisville staff. And then Calipari swooped in and got his dad on the Kentucky staff, and then they get him to Kentucky. And so he was the hyped guy. A couple other members of that Kentucky rookie or freshman class regarded as potential number 1 overall pick. Rob Dillingham was an afterthought out of North Carolina, and now he's their best player. Kentucky with a big win over North Carolina. It was an epic game. Unfortunately, ended essentially with North Carolina pulling a Jags, if you may, throwing the ball off of one of their teammates. I forget if it was Godot or if it was R.J. Davis, but was dribbling up the court. Thought his guy was turned around, passes him the ball, bounces off his back.
Oh, no.
Armando Bacot comes running in to try to corral the loose ball. Backcourt violation, steps over the line. And then Kentucky just shoots free throws the rest of the way to win the game. So obviously a disappointing loss for the Tar Heels, but it was a great game between two blue bloods, two teams that, top 15, top 25 in the country. And it was great to see that, as well as a top 5 showdown between Purdue and Arizona and Indianapolis. How wild is this? The city of Indianapolis hosted that top 5 showdown simultaneous to the Steelers and the Colts game down the street, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, that is wild. But if anyone can do it, it's Indianapolis. They've got the infrastructure to be able to handle all of that. All right. By the way, Michigan up 15-9 on Florida currently. Florida's typical in this. Good rebounding team, bad shooting team. So we'll see if that gets fixed. All right. I want to hear more about Taylor's trip when we come back. You're listening to Helmets and Heels, driven by Tire Outlet on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Digest the weekend's games with 1010XL's football experts.
That is a meal.
Sink your teeth into Dandy Foods Postgame Monday. Makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff. Postgame Monday on 1010XL.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at jaguars.com/shadows. One winner a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase to enter or win, must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia. Promotion period 9/5/23 through 12/15/23. For official rules and complete details, visit jaguars.com/shadows. Sponsored by Jacksonville Jaguars, LLC.
Did you know the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid never needs to be plugged in? The onboard system charges the batteries for you. When you think Honda, think hybrid. Good for the environment, great for your budget. Visit your local Honda dealer to experience the CR-V of the future today.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Care you can see.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Stop stealing joy from loved ones by missing out on making memories because of your joint pain. PRPRelief.com has the answer. A local clinic with natural regenerative treatments. Go to PRPRelief.com today for your joint pain.
Having hot water in your home is important for washing dishes, yourself, etc. But if your water isn't consistently nice and hot, it may become more of an issue when your family's over for the holidays.
There's no hot water.
Fix water heater problems with a call to Duck Duck Rooter today. Duck Duck Rooter will come and resolve it so you can enjoy lots of hot water this holiday season. Call 904-862-6769. Visit duckduckrooter.com.
Hey, Jags fans, are you tired of roof leaks raining on your parade? Don't worry, Universal Roof and Contracting has got you covered. Their expert team of roofers will get your roof back in the game so you can focus on cheering on the Jags. Locally owned and operated, they've serviced Florida homeowners for over 30 years. Visit universalroof.com to schedule your free estimate today. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
Hacker here, and you know I'm a sausage guy. We all know buying a present for that dude in our life, well, it isn't easy. Give them the gift of meat. You can now buy the Sausage Dude sausage, assorted or single flavors, right from their website. Add sausage to your holiday table this season with the Sausage Dude sausage. Polish, Hungarian, Italian, or beer bratwurst with cheddar and jalapeno, locally owned right here in Duval. Go to thesausagedudes.com today, the official sausage of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular movement is key to so many health benefits. Aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Decide to only take the stairs if you're walking less than 6th floor. Never park in the first 10 spaces of the parking lot. Walk during your work breaks. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and take a short, brisk walk before the chaos of the day starts. There are so many easy ways to stay active. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. You know, since I dropped my pounds with Awaken 180 back in September, I've had a lot of comments about how I looked. In fact, somebody just the other day said, hey, you look like you lost your spare tire. Honestly, they're not that far off. Picture this, a bulky, awkward car tire, 26 pounds or so. That's exactly what I was lugging around before Awaken 180. Did it take me 3 months, 6 months? Nah. 26 pounds gone in just over 1 month. Imagine slicing through air, feeling light like a sports car, not a clunky sedan with extra baggage. Imagine where you would be by the end of January if you started Awaken 180 today. Maybe down 20, 30 pounds. Why not just do it? The program is simple. The coaching is awesome. The results are even better. No meds, no starvation, no gym. And unlike the meds, you'll have a plan to keep the weight off when you're done. Free support for life, folks, so why wait? Give Awaken 180 a shout at 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com and ditch that spare tire.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Stilettos and Sabermetrics.
Helmets and heels, driven by Tire Outlet.
Brought to you by Underwood Jewelers.
And First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
It is a Tuesday evening here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Taylor Dahl, you recently went to Cleveland, Ohio. First, I want to find out, obviously you went for the Bears game, Bears-Browns game, but I want to find out, how did you just select the Mistake by the Lake to visit in December?
Well, number
That's
one,
not judging.
Yeah,
Just an actual question.
Number one, I like winter games.
Okay.
So I usually try to do Chicago for a winter game because I
Makes
like
sense.
having that bear weather is what we call it. But this year it ended up honestly kind of happening random. I had a friend that was already going to the game and he was like, oh, I'm going to week 15 game against the Browns at Cleveland. And I was like, that's cool. Like, it's right before my birthday, so maybe I can, like, make something happen, blah, blah, blah. Kind of from there, it just ended up happening. So that's why, because the whole time, every time we were there and someone was like, oh, you know, where are you guys from? And I was like, oh, we came up from the Bears game, but we live in Florida. And they were like, why did you come to Cleveland, Ohio? And this is people that, like, live there. They're like, why did you come to Cleveland, Ohio on your birthday vacation? And so when I would go explain, they were like, okay, I get it, I guess. But it honestly, it was fun. And to be completely honest, the weather wasn't too much different than what it was here that weekend. Maybe a little colder.
Was that your first time to Cleveland in general?
Okay. Yeah. I had never been in Ohio in general. And then even though I actually have family that lives there now, but I've never been. And so first time, but we did Pro Football Hall of Fame. That was fun. We were kind of talking about it, you and I, Lauren, before the show. And I was just talking about how different it is like summertime and winter because it was very not empty. There were still people, but I still had the opportunity to see everything I wanted to see and take my time and listen to like all the little exhibits they have. And they have interactive stuff you can do. Like they have, I don't know if you saw it, but they have the one where you go in and you watch like replays and you call if it like what the penalty is or
Oh,
what
nice.
the call
No,
is.
I didn't see that.
So it's kind of cool because it looks like that little booth that sometimes they
Uh-huh.
get in, and so it has like different breakdowns you can do, and then you click it and it shows the play, and then it will tell you like what the call on the field was, and then you watch it and say if it was confirmed or reversed or
I
whatever.
like that.
So it's kind of cool. Just they have a lot of little things like that. They have another where you like put the helmet on and you listen to what it would sound like if the coaches were if you're
Giving
the
you a play
quarterback
call.
and you were getting a play call.
They're like, don't kneel or don't spike it. Don't spike it.
Keep going. Run the play.
Yeah. So when we went to Taylor's point, when we went in August of last year, because it was during the enshrinement week, it was so crazy packed. Like literally, you couldn't walk one step without running into people every which way, whether that was in the main part, like you're talking about, in the exhibit part, or obviously like where the bus were. It was like you had to say excuse me like 100 times. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm gonna go that. No, you want to go that way? Okay, let me. And then you want your picture taken, but now there's like 15 people in the
all
way.
around,
and yeah. For me, it was very overwhelming. I think it'd be much better the time you went.
Well, and such a big part of it, there's a lot of reading. So, like, a lot of the exhibits that you want to look at are like, it has explanations
Correct.
of why this specific jersey is there or these shoes or whatever. And so if you don't have time to sit there and actually, like, read all of these things on there, it's probably not nearly as cool because you don't understand why someone's, like, a cloth is hanging up on the thing.
Correct. And I made a huge mistake when we went too. So I had just gotten these new shoes, they're like nice sneakers or whatever. They're, not actual tennis shoes, but like a nicer version. Anyway, fashion sneakers. That's what I guess you'd call them.
Fashion.
Well, I didn't know that you're supposed to wear like those little socks underneath. I thought you because everyone I see wearing them doesn't
slide
wear
them on.
socks, and or you can't actually see their socks even though they are. So I had these we walked all the way around, walked a lot. I had these massive blisters on my heels.
You mean just Keds?
They're not Keds. They're like
Allbirds?
So have you ever seen? There are very expensive ones. These are not the ones I have.
Sperry's.
They're called Golden Gooses, and they're like $600.
Okay.
Those are not the ones that I have.
Okay.
But they are they're supposed to
They
be
have, like, the star on them.
Correct. They're supposed to be like a knockoff of Golden. JJ, have you ever heard of Golden Gooses?
I'm looking them up right now. I haven't.
So they're made, I think, in Italy, and they're expensive. Like I said, I have the
off-brand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I have the version that
Silver
costs
geese.
Silver geese. No, mine are. But yeah, basically. And so anyway, I had gotten those, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wear these around Canton, and like they're gonna be cool, and learn my lesson. And so immediately I went to Amazon. Once my girlfriend told me, she's like, no, you have to buy those like no-show socks.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since then, now I wear them all the time. I have no blisters. But that also, no offense to the Pro Football Hall of Fame,
your
wasn't
feet
their
were
fault.
hurting.
I
Yeah.
was bleeding.
Yeah.
And then thankfully this golf cart literally appeared like out of the blue. He was an angel. And as soon as we finished the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he was like, would you like a ride to your car? We never had seen any golf carts giving anyone rides, and I was like, "This man knows."
He saw
the
you were in pain.
Yeah, and literally, I had blood on my ankles. But anyway, continue
Anyways.
about your trip, please.
Yeah, so there was one, obviously, this was just a little funny side story from that, because in it they have one of Mike Thomas's jerseys in there, and it was from the Hail Mary that Gerard had thrown to him in 2010.
Okay.
And so I took a picture of it, I sent it to Gerard, and I was like, did you know you'd end up in the Hall of Fame when you were throwing that Hail Mary? And he replied, he goes, never, I just didn't want an interception.
Which is understandable. I was at that game, and that was one of the most fun Jaguars games I've ever attended. Now, that was well before I worked in the industry.
Yeah.
So it's always more fun when you go as a fan with friends. But to end it like that was just so much fun.
And so as I was thinking that, I was like, I wonder how many things in this building are little moments like that for people. You know, like you have the big ones because a lot of them are obviously Pro Football Hall of Famers, but a lot of them are stories like that include other quarterbacks or other people that helped these plays happen. And they're not technically maybe in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but they're in there in some
Isn't Nathan
form or
Rourke's
fashion.
like sneakers or like his cleats or something?
Are they fashion sneakers?
No,
Golden Gooses?
No, well said.
Golden
I think something from
Gooses.
that preseason game, or at least something from some Jaguar player that was a little obscure. Maybe it was Riley Patterson from last year.
Okay.
Or maybe it was Agnew.
I
with
do
something.
faintly remember.
Something went into the Hall of Fame last year.
The Agnew might have gone.
Was it Agnew?
The 109-yard
I think
return.
that's,
I think it
that's
was.
what
Yeah.
it was.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing any Nathan Rourke stuff when we were there.
I know
But
there
I could
definitely
be
was
wrong.
because they had the CFL.
Oh, okay. I probably didn't see that part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got lots of Jaguar stuff in there, including, of course, the
Oh yeah,
one and
so it
only
was
Sonny
Agnew.
Vaccell.
He came. His cleats went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. By the way, 23-22, Michigan, 1 point ahead of Florida. So the game has gotten a lot closer thanks to Walt.
I just
Walter
realized it
Clayton's
isn't Nathan Rourke we saw. It was E.J. Perry, ironically, re-signed to the practice squad today.
Oh, yes.
Because he had led his team to the USFL championship, and they had an exhibit for the USFL when we were there last summer.
Gotcha. They do have because there's most of it is like the history of the ones that are actually like in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but then they have this side that's like the modern Hall of Fame, and it has just like records that have been broken recently. Like Justin Fields' cleats were in there where he had an insane amount of rushing and passing yards in one game. And so that was kind of cool to see that. There was
Did
a
you
few
cry?
moments. No, I didn't cry. But every time I saw anything Packers, I was like, boo. And so like the few people that were in there would just look at me like, why is she booing?
I was going to say, I'm surprised I didn't throw you out.
But it was cool. It's a cool experience. And like I said, if you have the time to actually sit there and read and watch and listen, it's probably way more fun or like if you're going with a small child, probably not as fun because they're going to want to run around and do a bunch of stuff. And you also clearly have to care about football enough to want to read a story from 1934 of, certain things. They have like old documents of like when teams were sold, and it'd be like $1,200 for like this, or like player contracts from the 1920s where they're like, we'll give you 10 cents for every like rushing yard you get. The seat, like I think it was even high. It was something crazy. One of them where I was like, man, these guys are probably like, if any of these men that were in like 30s, 40s are reading contracts now, they're probably like, man, I played in the wrong era.
They probably are not alive,
Yeah.
but yes,
There's
they
some
would
ones up
be.
there that maybe possibly are very, but like for example, Virginia McCaskey, she was born the year the Bears came around, like 1922, I think it was. So like 2 years after the Bears came around. To think what Virginia McCaskey has seen through the time of football is honestly insane. And there's so much Bears in there, obviously, because they've been around since the start. And so just stories that were in there between her and between George Halas and obviously Lambeau and all of these men that you're just like, man, like the reason we're doing what we're doing today is because these people were like, we want to play this competitive game, and how much it's changed is crazy too. But it was fun. Yeah. So that was the first day. And then obviously Sunday was the game. But there was a bar that I went to on Saturday night that I was like, Lauren would love this place because it was like a country bar.
Okay.
And so when we first came in, it was just a guy by himself playing
I would
like
love it.
acoustic, but all of the songs that you and I would love. And then a full band came out after him, but it was all country music.
Nice.
It was so much fun. We had a blast. I kept going back between that one and then this other place that was like a dueling piano bar.
I love dueling piano bars
They were
as well.
playing all types. They did a lot of requests. So like if you kind of Nashville, where it's like if you tip them, they'll play your song type of thing.
Was it $20 like it is in Nashville?
It wasn't actually, and they
Okay.
didn't say amount. They were just like, "Hey, tip
gotcha.
us, show us your request, or you put it on the piano and they'd play it." So they were doing like everything from country to rap to like 50s
Yeah, that's
music
awesome.
to modern music, and everyone was up dancing. It was so much fun. Like I kept going back because I'd be here for a few songs and they'd go on break, and I'd be like, "All right, let's go back to this other bar." But it was a blast. And then Sunday ended unfortunate, but
Were you in your seats or in the bathroom for the end of the game?
I was in my seat actually.
Oh, no.
But I was sitting because I was so mad.
If you were in the bathroom, you would have caught that ball.
I know.
That's what I'm.
I know.
That's
Wait,
why I
but
asked.
this is even better. Where Taylor was on the final play.
I was sitting because I was so mad. Again, another blown lead. Like this is the third one that the Bears have blown that was like 13 points or more, and with less than 10 minutes left in the game. And so I remember at one point they're up by 10. I look, there's like 8:45 left, and I was like, too much time. I don't trust anything that's happening. Not that the defense has actually been playing really well, but for some reason it just has ended up like weird things have happened at the end of games to just flip things. So I was just so mad. So they come back. They're up 3. They hit that field goal at the end. They're winning by 3 points. I'm so mad. I'm just like sitting in my seat. It's the third and whatever at this point, and also Justin had to get like 8 yards for us to get in field goal range to just tie it.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I saw the play, I was like, why are they doing that? I don't understand what they're doing.
There was a lot of time left.
I know. And I was so confused by all the play calling during the entire game. That's like we do not like Luke Getsy in Chicago. He makes terrible play calls. Every time we had like a third and short yardage, we'd be in like shotgun or something weird to where you're automatically losing like 7-8 yards when you just needed 2 to start. And it was just so weird. But anyway, so I'm sitting there in my seat, like arms crossed, just like, I'm so angry right now. Everyone's standing up because they're clearly, you can tell Justin's about to just throw this down the field. And so I see everyone around me kind of be like, oh. And I'm sitting, I'm like, I don't even want to see what's happening right now. And then I hear everyone go, oh my God. Oh no. And I was like, what happened? So I stood up and they're showing the replay up on the thing. Well, I see the Browns guy running back with the ball. And I'm like, what did I miss? And Kyle was like, my friend that I was with, he goes, Mooney almost got it. It was in his hands. And he was like, literally, he's like, it was in his effing hands. It was in his effing hands. And like everyone around, it was a few Bears fans, but the whole row in front of us, like about peed themselves. Like they turned around and they were like, if he would have caught that, I don't even know like what we would have done. And I was like, oh, so they play it and you see it bounce like in his hands and then it bounces out, gets kicked into the defender's hands. It was just like this moment of it was just crazy. Because
the defender did exactly what you're taught to do.
Oh, yeah.
Which is hit it down, but he didn't know a guy would just be laying on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy that he didn't catch it, honestly. Like, because I was watching it live and was really surprised because thankfully they went to that game after the other games were kind of blowouts in that early window. But I hate to ask this question, but isn't it almost better for the Bears to not win a game like that? Just as far as draft position?
They were. I mean, if you're looking at that, but most weren't right now because technically they've been playing really, really good, especially defensively. Like the first 7 games of the season, they had almost no sacks, only 6 picks. In the last 7 games, they have 12 interceptions as a team. Their sacks have doubled. They're rushing. They're the best rushing defense in the league right now. Everything has like started to get better. Even offensively, they've been able to start even despite Getsy were scoring points and you felt like things were starting to click. They were in the hunt. Like you're only a game out from a lot of teams that were in the NFC. Both the Packers had lost. Both teams you needed to lose had lost that day. And so if they won, they would technically be not even a full game back out of the wild card. So that's where a lot of our minds were, not at the draft pick, because we have Carolina's pick. So no matter what, we're going to have a top 5 pick. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, it's so depressing because it was just you were leading almost the entire game and then that happens. But it is what it is. It's Bears football, and I feel like at this point I'm kind of used to it.
It's harder when you pay all the money and you go and you sit in the enemy territory, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you are leading the whole game, and so at some point in time you tell yourself like, oh my gosh, we actually are going to win this football game.
Yeah.
And then to have the lead escape and then
and it was there was also several moments where like I've posted on Twitter because they've made me so mad, but like there was one play, the first touchdown they had, and Njoku was out of bounds. Clear, you can see it in the video. You can see his foot out of bounds. Eberflus didn't challenge it, so that was a touchdown. That shouldn't have been. Then there was
you don't have to challenge a touchdown, right? Every scoring play is challenged.
Well, they didn't do anything because it was clearly, and they weren't showing it up on the board either, and they kept like ignoring showing the play up on the board, but you can clearly see it. Like his foot was out of bounds. Everyone was like, he toe tapped, and I was like, you could see in the video he was out of bounds. But anyways, aside from that, that was towards the beginning. And then there was another play where Justin got hit. I mean, like 3 seconds after he threw the ball, and it ended up getting picked off, and I'm putting that in air quotes because when you look at the video, the ball hits the ground. Eberflus didn't challenge that, so that was technically an interception on Justin, but it wasn't an interception and got caught. So there was just so many moments like that where it was like I never got comfortable because I was like, things are not going the way like we want them to go at this moment, and
the Browns have this sort of lucky charm, kind of like the Bengals do right now. It's annoying.
And they're home. That obviously adds a little extra for them. That was like they clinched the play. They were like, okay, we're going to be in the playoffs if they win this game, so it was important for them. It was so windy. I felt like I was going to blow over the side of the stadium, honestly. But
I hate that. I felt for Jags fans Sunday night because it was very windy. I mean, you could tell based off of the flags. By the way, thanks to Micah Hand-Logton's 3 recently and recent block too. Florida down 30-29 in Michigan, but they've been hanging in there. Again, I didn't say Michigan was this great team by any means, but Florida has been all over the place this season, so we will keep you updated. We've got one segment to go before we turn it over to Rick Blue here on Helmets and Heels, driven by Tire Outlet on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
In your car or out of your car.
Get me out of this car.
Take 1010XL with you wherever you go.
We're online and ready.
By downloading our free 1010XL app. Available for all smartphones and tablets.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. While we've earned the reputation as North Florida and South Georgia's preeminent official Rolex jeweler, It's important to point out that at Underwoods we carry other watches too. We start with Seiko, the most reliable, serviceable watch made for under $500. And they've started making jeweled, self-winding watches again, and sports watches you'd have to see to believe. Next we have Tavan, the Swiss-made ladies and men's and dress and sport watches, and they start at $575. Another name we carry is Tudor, inspired by Rolex with the same founder and owner, the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. And their sport watches and chronographs are the rage in Swiss timekeeping, with new in-house watch movements and exciting new model introductions every year. So if you're interested in watches, we have what you want at Underwoods, and all of our watches carry a 5-year warranty. At Underwoods, in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Dell's holiday event is one of their biggest sales of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or gaming setup powered by Intel Core processors. Shop now at Dell.com/deals to take advantage of huge savings and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
One of college football's most storied programs.
Florida State fights for their 4th undefeated season. I'm RJ Saunders. Listen for news and nuggets in the Seminole Report as they gear up for Georgia in the Orange Bowl.
Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team on 1010XL.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Here's a special message from our president.
Thanks, David. This is Jordan Harrington, president of Royal Pest Services. We'd like to thank everyone who has trusted Royal Pest for their pest control needs this year. Wishing all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the Royal Pest family.
Toilet or shower not draining? Water bill high? So many issues you want to cry? Call Mr. Rooter of Jacksonville. Have your number 2 business serviced by your number 1 plumber. Let us do your dirty work. Call us today.
Mr. Rooter, Mr. Rooter. It's J.J. Gray's Blackwater Soul Review at St. Augustine Amphitheater, May 25th and 26th. Catch live performances from artists like J.J. Gray and Mofro, Lucero, the Almond Betts Band, American Aquarium, G Love and Special Sauce, and more. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com, May 25th and 26th, live at St. Augustine Amphitheater.
Since 2014, there has been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality built homes and a speedy move-in process, we are in 20-plus communities in the best locations in Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 23rd.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Are you an experienced automotive technician and tired of working for employers who put profit over people? Then come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road and get trained on how to diagnose and rebuild today's complex transmissions. See how we're different. Get traction on your career and come to Action.
Equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels, driven by Tire Outlet.
Brought to you by Underwood Jewelers.
And First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
All tied up between Florida and Michigan right now, 35 all until, just kidding, Michigan just scored. So it's 37 for Michigan, 35 for Florida. This game has been really fun to watch, though, so far. All right, so you hear this Christmas song. Well done, JJ, because we're going to talk about our favorite holiday traditions.
Love it.
Mia, what's your number one favorite holiday tradition?
Well, running around in my elf costume. But
Okay.
that's a given.
Now, how long has that been going on?
So the elf costume originated in its original form in the 6th grade.
Oh, okay. Way back.
It was my Halloween costume. My childhood best friend, who, mind you, at the time and still to this day, is probably 90 pounds soaking wet. And so she was Santa, and I was the elf. And we bounded about the neighborhood, and people thought it was very cute. Her mom is an artist, and so she actually designed my elf costume. And then senior year...
And you still wear that one to this day.
And we're going to get to that. Senior year of high school, I don't know if you guys do this, but like Senior for Hire, have you heard of that? It's like a fundraiser where like the underclassmen bid on the seniors, and they make them all dress up as part of homecoming week, and then like they take the money and put towards like homecoming parade and stuff, whatever. So my sister bought me and my friends and made us elves. So we dressed up as elves because I already had the costume. And then I got to college, and I don't know what inspired it, but like I was coming back from holiday break, from Thanksgiving break, and I'm like packing up to head back to Ithaca. And I guess someone had asked about the elf costume, and so I was like, oh, I'll bring it, and I'll wear it to your holiday party. And so it was the same one from the 6th grade. At this point, I am 19 years old, and I wore it, and people loved it. And so then throughout college...
That is incredible that you could wear the same costume.
And so for the next 4 years, people
I could not have at any point in time in my
People would
teens.
pay me in food and booze to come to their holiday parties in Ithaca. I did do a couple of like philanthropic stuff too. Like we did a thing at the president's house of Ithaca for like the underprivileged kids, and like we did like face painting and stuff. And so they asked me like, will you come as the elf and like we'll bring somebody in as Santa. So I did do like some philanthropic stuff too. It wasn't just like me going to parties and like people were taking pictures with me. And then when I got to Iowa, same thing. We did a couple things with the Iowa Children's Hospital and a couple others. And it was around the time that we started really partnering with Iowa Children's Hospital on like a professional basis that my mom was like, okay, you're 23. You're wearing a costume from when you were 12. And so she surprised me when I came home for Thanksgiving. This was in 2016, and had a Nordstrom onesie elf costume for me, and that is the one that I wear to this day.
Right, Taylor.
Infamous.
Yes, so that is the origin story of the elf costume, which we do have multiple other costumes. I also have a Rudolph costume. My sister has a Santa onesie. They're all onesie, like Francesca's or Nordstrom. Like they're very nice, but we got the costumes.
Fascinating. Costumes have never been a part of my family's traditions. Taylor, what's your
like?
number?
Not even the pajamas and the matching pajamas.
We
and
do
that
No,
too.
no matching pajamas either. Was that in time? That was incredible. Okay, Florida just took the lead with a last-second
Heading into
shot
the break.
heading into halftime. Florida's up 38-37. I'm sure they'll show a replay. I would watch. That was really impressive. But
Was it Mark Davis Jr.?
It was not. It was not. That was Zion Pullen, number 0. But here we go. Here's the end of the game, or end of the half sequence.
So stolen away under
it was,
the
and then there's
by Mark Davis Jr.
It was
yes,
Mark
by
Davis.
Condon.
and then
Alex
a half
Condon,
court,
the Australian.
just half court heave for Pullen.
Yeah, really fun to watch that.
And good basketball.
Yeah, really good. So,
but yeah, for my winter, Christmas, ours was honestly kind of always chaotic because we have a ton of birthdays right around Christmas too.
yes, happy early birthday to
Thank you.
Yes.
and happy 3rd birthday today to my dog Keaton.
Oh, Keaton, happy birthday!
He's 3 today. I know.
Yeah, because my brother's birthday's in December, my birthday's in December, my cousin AJ's birthday's in December, my mom's is like right in the beginning of January. So there was always so much going on that it was kind of chaotic, and things were a little bit hectic for holidays for us. But younger especially, it's a little difficult now because like cousins have kids and other cousins have kids, and we are kind of all over the place now. But my favorite part back then was that was the one time of year that we got to all, like, we'd usually do a beach house, usually in St. George Island over in the Panhandle, rent a beach house, cousins, aunts, uncles, my grandparents, brothers, sisters. We'd all go out there and just spend the long weekend out there. It wasn't as much about, like, presents then, because they were all spending money to be able to afford this for all of us to be together. So it was more so just about being able to, like, see your cousins and everybody hang out. And that was always my favorite thing. Like I said, it's died down a little bit now because now my cousins all have, between the combination of them, like 16 kids, and it's just a little crazy.
Yeah.
But that was always fun. So now at least you do try, at least some of them try to get to my grandparents' house. So rather than going and renting this big beach house, they do try to make that the one time a year where you do try and get as many people together as you can. So that's always a good part, because it's ones you don't see all year long. And then you get to see the little kids that you saw last year that were babies, now a little bit older and starting to talk and walk and do all of those things. So like my cousin Christopher is coming this weekend, and he's the one that lives in Chicago. I haven't seen him in a couple years. So things like that. For me, it's a lot of family, just being able to see family, since we're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I love that. And no costumes, though?
No costumes. And
Maybe
we were never
you should
like
start a tradition.
Yeah, maybe. We were never
They're
big.
essentially pajamas when it comes down to it.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're going to do the matching PJs,
Yeah.
why not make a costume?
Yeah, and we were never matching PJs either. Like we would be the ones where you get up first thing and do presents like right when you wake up, but we all kind of had our own little pajamas that we'd want to wear.
I would say mine has always been decorating a real, I hate to say real, but like an actual Christmas tree,
Yeah.
and the artificial ones are fine too. It's just, in my family growing up, we always had
The real tree.
The real tree. Yeah, the tree with the sap, which I love from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But yeah, like Christmas music on, and you get to look at the ornaments and you get to reminisce about like, oh, this is, from when you were a baby or what have you, and different memories that you make or whatever. But the last couple years, we haven't had a tree because we had a puppy, and we were terrified that he used to eat stuff, not as much anymore. But we were scared that while we were gone, he would attack the
take the whole
Christmas
tree.
tree. And then obviously there's ornaments that can't be swallowed by a dog. So this is the first year since we've had him that we were able to get a tree again, and he hasn't messed it up. One time, though, his tail did accidentally get attached to one of the branches.
Oh, no.
And he was
Freaked
not,
out.
he did not like it. But the good news is, because that happened, I think now he just avoids the Christmas tree.
He's
at all
like, it
costs.
attacked me.
Correct, yeah. But I love that stuff. And I have a lot of ornaments from my grandfather, and after he passed away, I got his. And so it's fun to reminisce on those years, when, like you said, family was all together, and you've lost loved ones, over the years or whatever. But it's nice to at least like put on Andy Williams. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and go back to those times in your mind. All right, let's say hello to Rick Ballou.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Keeping 1010XL rolling with wholesale prices and premium service. Tire Outlet, Jacksonville's largest locally owned automotive repair shop.
All right, Rick, how was the aftermath on your show last night after the Jags lost to the Ravens?
I think they got angry at me.
Oh.
Because
It's
I
your
was
fault.
like, yes. I was like, why are you so upset? You're 197 and 267 lifetime. If you go 12 and 5 for the next 10 years, you'll be 500. People around here are acting like this is the Patriots of 20 years. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to figure it out. I mean, you went to an NFC Championship game in 96 and 99, and then you went to one in January of 2018, and last year you were one game above 500. But a lot of these fans are acting like this should be a 13, 14 win club, and I'm just trying to understand why that is. If this was a blue blood college program around here, I get it, because there's been that success. This is a losing franchise. And so, I think I upset quite a few listeners last night. So tonight, I'm going to take some punches. I'm going to open up the phone lines.
Okay.
I'm going to turn some things around, and I think I'm going to give them what they want. That's a piece of me. But by coming out and saying it that
Mondays
way.
are the worst around here after
They
a Jags
really
loss.
are.
Are they not? We have a couple UNF students looking to shadow, and they wanted to come in on a Monday. I'm like, you really don't want to be here in case the Jags lose on a Monday. Like, I'm just telling you right now.
But do you remember the way it was earlier this year when the Jags won?
Mhm.
And that's
Oh,
part
yeah.
of my part of my deal with this.
People are angry.
The complaints that were coming in
Yeah.
when they won. And again, I'm sitting there trying to say to myself, you're one game above 500 all of last year, and you're acting like, the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s or the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. And I love the listeners, but I'm just trying to figure out how all of a sudden this thing changed compared to an organization that 2 years in a row had the top pick in the draft.
And I'm kind of glad, and I'm very excited to listen to tonight's program on my drive home, Rick, because I can tell you from conversations I've had, I mean, after even the 49ers loss, like, obviously, they got taken to the woodshed and they got blindsided. But the vibe in the front office and in the locker room was, that was bad. But, like, look how passionate our city is, and we know what our team is. We know they'll bounce back. We also know this is a young team. And I know there's a lot of listeners that don't want to hear that, but this is something they believe they're developing and building, hopefully, towards that, as opposed to we need to win the Super Bowl this year, although obviously that should always be the goal.
Yeah, it should always be the goal. I didn't think it was realistic. When we all did things in your office,
in
social
May.
media, I went 10-7, and I got crushed.
And
Didn't we have a 16-1?
We did.
And a 15-2.
No, I was 15-2. Tony Smith was 16-1. Yeah.
I mean, there were people asking for my job because I said 10-7.
And guess what? You may
Go
be the
high.
closest to the reality.
Yeah,
And
go
then
high next
JJ and
time.
I did it right before the start of the year. We did it on that, the first week.
Yeah.
And
You had 10-7 then too?
No, JJ and I ended up both 11-6, right, JJ?
Yeah, so both are within the realm of possibility.
We have
right
that
now.
chance. So, I love it, and I'll push a button here and there just to try to get a little bit of reaction from them. It's going to happen. There's going to be a day when this organization's going to win a Super Bowl. They have a quarterback, but I don't think that they can get there without completely developing an offensive line, and they can't run. They're 26th in the NFL. That is scary. I think that's the biggest problem. That's something else I'm going to bring up tonight. I'm going to kind of take this into what I think the listeners want to hear after last night's conversation. So it should be a whole heck of a lot of fun.
All right, sounds good. We'll be listening. Thanks, Rick.
Such an awesome girl, but what a terrible sweater. What is that? Is that Gator, or is that Syracuse, or is that Tennessee?
This is for the Bruins.
Is that Miami Hurricanes?
It does look
This is
Bruins
yellow.
color.
What
That's
is
why
that?
it's ugly.
This is Bruins
Oh, that's
colors.
Boston Bruins?
Yay!
There you go.
He
That's
divorced
what- I
Boston
take-
earlier this year.
I take it back.
Yeah.
That's a big sweater.
Yeah, it's yellow, not
better
orange. It's yellow, but I should be wearing orange and blue. All right, that's going to do it for us. For me, O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for JJ La Selva. I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. Into the Night with Rick Ballou comes up next right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.